Well, this weekend the NCAA Frozen Four kicks off, and Carolina Hurricanes fans will be checking out some of the top prospects the Canes will have in the tournament. You know, the Canes have had great success with collegians in the past. Just watch today as you check out Jacob Slavin and, of course, Brett Pesce. But the Canes have a lot of prospects right now, and this is a good story. That's one of the reasons they could make the move to acquire Jake Guentzel from Pittsburgh. And again, that's because their prospect pool is deep. And we're going to check out some of those top prospects as we look at the 6 players who will be playing in this tournament. You know, the top guys, as you might expect, are Scott Morrow at UMASS, Jackson Blake at UND, and of course, Bradly Nadeau at Maine. But there are some other guys we want to take a look at. Lucas Mercuri, who's going to be playing for UMass alongside Morrow. He's a big forward, 6'3", 190 pounds. He had a good solid season this year, 9 goals, 16 assists for 25 points. He was a 6th rounder in 2020, so you know we didn't expect a lot from Mercuri, but he's had a chance to build his game. And he's a solid, tough forward that could add some aggression to the forward side if he's considered by the Canes. Again, Jayden Perron's a player that I like a lot. He was, some folks thought would be a first rounder this year. He's got elite offensive skills. This guy can really tear it up. He's smaller at 5'9", 163 pounds. But boy, oh boy, a 3rd rounder this year. This guy got off to a good start at UND alongside Jackson Blake. For Perron, he had 11 goals, 7 assists this year. And I think we're going to check him out closely in this tournament because he's got elite offensive skills for sure. And then a player I've been really interested in is Charles-Alexis Legault. He's a big defenseman playing with Quinnipiac, drafted this year in the 5th round by the Canes. They saw a lot of him last year as they were watching Quinnipiac closely and, of course, signed Yana Peretz. So they have a history with Quinnipiac for some of their great prospects. Legault, 6'3", 207, is a big player. He plays an aggressive game on the blue, but he's really had an outstanding offensive capability this year, popping 9 goals, 13 assists for 22 points. So he's really bringing his game along, and I think he's going to be a player that has a future with the Hurricanes as well. So these 3 guys certainly are worth watching, but boy, oh boy, the other guys are definitely going to make things happen. And let's start with Scott Morrow. You know, Morrow was a guy that was drafted in the 2nd round by the Hurricanes in 21. He had certainly excellent offensive skill when they drafted him, and that was the big word around this guy. You look at some of the comments of the analysts, you know, you talk about McKean's, you talk about Dauber prospects or The Athletic, and some of the words they had for Morrow: strong in transition, dynamic puck mover, creative problem solver. These guys really saw a lot in Morrow's game. And he's a good solid player. He's 6'2", 195. He's in his 3rd year with UMass, so he's definitely been able to bulk up, get stronger, and continue to build his game. You know, his first year was really something. He got off to a great start, and as you watch some of the highlights of Morrow, you can see he was, in his first year, he was all rookie. He was a first-team All-Star, All-American. He did it all. But he's worked on his defensive game the last couple of years a lot more. He has averaged over 30 points each year, so the offense is still there. But I think for Morrow, it's really been trying to get that complete game. You know, back looking at what Darren York had to say about Morrow, he's a guy that is probably one of the most skilled players in the draft that year, and he was saying not just defenseman. So real high offensive capability. This guy can do it. And he really liked the fact that his game in the transition side was really something. So Scott Morrow definitely is someone we want to take a close look at. There have been rumors that Scott will sign with the Hurricanes following the Frozen Four. We'll have to see how that plays out. He's a guy that could certainly be a help next year as the Canes struggle with their cap problems and also the fact that they may be rebuilding their D to some extent with all the UFAs they have. So we'll have to keep an eye on Scott Morrow, and this tournament could be key for his future with the Hurricanes. And how about Jackson Blake? Boy, this guy's really something. Jackson Blake at UND, 5'11", 165-pounder. He was a 4th rounder in 2021 Boy, they love this guy. Darren York said this about him. Incredibly smart, probably didn't get the opportunity he needed in Chicago. That's the USHL. His 5-on-5 play was what really impressed us. The ability to use his size to protect the puck and make plays in transition from the neutral zone to the offensive zone. So this guy can really go. Again, the analysts had lots of good things to say about him. Soft hands, excellent vision, super skilled and smart. And you watch these highlights, and boy, I'll tell you, Jackson Blake, he was NCHC Player of the Year this year. Previous winner was Shane Pinto. That's interesting. But boy, this guy can score. Second player in UND history to hit 100 points in his first 2 years. He got 101 this year. The last guy was Zach Parisi, so he's in excellent company. Hobie Baker Award finalist. I think Blake's got a future with the Hurricanes. Of course, his father, Jason, had a great NHL career. So we'll take a look at Jackson Blake. And I think he's due to hit the Canes, if not this year, very, very soon. And wrapping it up, man, Bradly Nadeau, what about this guy? He was a first rounder this year. He's a smaller player at 5'10", 163. And this guy just does it all. Bradly Nadeau, our first round pick, probably the best way to describe him is that he just scores goals. This is what Darren York had to say. It's pretty remarkable the types of goals he was able to score. Catch and shoot, scoring from distance, backhand, forehand, and on top of that, he's incredibly hard to play against. So really impressed, of course, Darren York. And some of the analysts had this to say about him. Sees the ice well, fast, sleek skater, and blistering shot. And he's shown that in his year this year with an outstanding season. 19 goals, 27 assists for 46 points. With Maine. Boy, this guy can really go, and you see the plays right here. He's a second-team All-Star in Hockey East, and he was sixth among rookies with 41 points, including 17 goals this year. So a great season for this guy. Outstanding play by Bradly Nadeau, and again, we're going to be watching him closely as we check out all these players in the Frozen Four. I wanted to highlight 3 free agents also. Quinnipiac stars Jake Quillan and Collin Graf, who I've talked about previously, and of course youngster Josh Nadeau. That's Bradley's brother joining him in Maine. So let's talk about Quillan and Graf. Quillan, a centerman with Quinnipiac, he was really key in their win last year, their championship win. This year, 15 goals, 29 assists for him. 6 foot, 196 pounder. He's a guy that's a cerebral player, plays both ends of the rink, definitely of interest to a lot of teams. He did attend the Boston Bruin development camp this past year, so the Bruins seem to be the leaders when it comes to Quillan. Of course, they're also looking for center help, so he'd be a nice fit. So Jake Quillan definitely getting a lot of attention from Quinnipiac. And also Collin Graf, of course. Graf, the offensive juggernaut that he is, 21 years old, 6'1", 196 pounder. He had 102 points his last 2 seasons with Quinnipiac. Boy, he's really been lighting it up. And this year, 22 goals in 32 games. Now, he's, again, of great interest to a lot of teams right now. Apparently, the Rangers, very keen about Graf. There are other teams certainly looking at him. I'm sure the Canes, who have been very interested in Quinnipiac in general, are watching Graf closely. So Collin Graf and Jake Quillan, 2 outstanding prospects coming out of the Quinnipiac organization. And then let's talk about Josh Nadeau. Nadeau, of course, a freshman alongside his brother Bradly. He's having an outstanding season. 18 goals, 27 assists for 45 points. We saw some of the great moves he has in those highlights for Bradly. Hockey East third All-Star this year, so a great start for him. Not a big player, 5'8", 160 pounds, but boy, this guy's got real skill, and we're going to take a look at him as we watch, obviously, this NCAA Frozen Four and watch closely what Maine does. Bradly and Josh would be a great combination for the Hurricanes. We'll see if the Canes can pull something off and sign Josh Nadeau. So, gosh, lots to take a look at this weekend. It's going to be exciting. The Hurricanes definitely with a lot of great prospects in the NCAA Frozen Four. We'll be talking about that next week as we see how all these guys do and how successful they are in moving forward in this tournament. Again, we'll keep you totally up to date on all the latest news from the Hurricanes. Thanks so much for joining. Please subscribe, and we'll catch up with you real soon right here on stormTRacker.